Dun, dun, dun. Yes, it's that time. It's that time. Your alarm clock should be going off. You should be like, oh shit, it's 4:10. It's time for 420 Live with Jeff Kravitz. Yes, it is. And here we are, Thursday. Do I have to look at the date? No, I don't, because I know it's the last day of the month. It is 4/30/20. It is the first day of the second weekend of Jazz Fest. If you were in New Orleans, you might have been flying in today. You might have flown in yesterday. Usually I'd get in the day before on Wednesday. But I was a big second week guy for the longest time. And then the past 8 or 9, 10 years, I've been doing the full 2 weeks. And it's so much better because in the old days, you try to get 10 days worth of stuff in the 4 days. And now when you have 10 days, you just are so relaxed. When everybody comes rolling in that second weekend ready to rage, you're like, hey, welcome to New Orleans. Let's go out. But when you first get there and it's like Wednesday, you're like, I gotta go. I gotta eat here and I gotta go see this and I gotta go to this club and there. And you're like a bouncing bunny all over New Orleans trying to get in all the restaurants you want to do and eat all your favorite things. And then you have to make leeway for all the new people that are coming in. I've always been, I was taken under someone's wing when I first came in. You met my friend Rob Steinberg the other day. Him and his Tulane crew were really helpful. John McHugh and Dave Margulies, those guys, all our friends, took us under their wings and, should go here and go there. And I'd get in huge fights because I always wanted to go see the hippie bands. I'd be like, hey, look, Office McGee's playing and Street Cheese is playing and Mo's playing. They'd be like, no, we got to go see the Wild Magnolias. And they drag me to some little bar and it'd be upstairs and there'd be the Wild Magnolias and the old man, not Bo Dallas Jr., but senior, going at it up there, doing the whole Mardi Gras Indians vibe, and it's just unforgettable. Some of those little tiny places you would go to see, and this is before Katrina. After Katrina, a lot of those places were done. I started watching Treme on HBO back again. I watched it sporadically over the years, but I never sat down and watched the whole series, and now I'm watching it. All my friends are on the show. I didn't even realize all these. Hey, you were TV stars there, but I was working at HBO at the time. But I think those premieres they had in New York City or down maybe even in NOLA. So I never shot a premiere for Treme, though I've done a lot of the different HBO shows. So it's interesting to watch and interesting to see what life was like after Katrina. And it took me back to that time when the city was really desperate and everything was hanging on a thread, and all the buildings were decrepit, and they were trying to put the pieces back together. So it's an amazing encapsulation of a time that is gone, and now they're going to put the city back together in a different way when this is all finished. But it's getting more about getting the tourists to come back because everything's going to be hopefully a lot better. Hopefully some businesses are cleaning up a little bit and getting ready, because a lot of those bars are open 24/7, 24 hours a day. So you get to feel it. As you can see, I am representing Tipitina's today because one of the most classic places to go for our late night fun at Jazz Fest was Tipitina's. I've come out of there. I think the latest I've ever come out of there was 7:30, 7:45 in the morning. And you come out on the street and you've been in there all night and the birds are chirping. People are in their cars driving to work with ties and suits on, and you're coming out and your brain is frazzled and the sun's up and you feel like a vampire, like, coming out of Tipitina's. And Tipitina's typically has gone through the ringer over the years. Another club that needed a lot of TLC. And in 2018, our guests, today we have Galactic on the show, as they're a popular New Orleans band that merges New Orleans music with funk and rock. And their sound has been so diverse and changing over the years that they've really covered just about everything. And these guys stepped up to the plate and plunked down a bunch of cash to take over Tips, and then invested in new sound and fixing the place up. And I was there just before they closed for my friend Rob's wedding, and that's when I got this shirt. It was one of the only merch items still left. It has a little picture of Tips on the back, and I was like, I better get a shirt because I don't know what was going to happen at that time. And then these guys stepped up to the line and bought the place. And, the improvements have been absolutely incredible. And I'm sure they're sweating it out right now with the business in New Orleans as it is, with everybody locked up. But let's talk to them and see what they have to say. So I want to introduce Robert Mercurio. Hi, Robert.
How you
How
doing?
are you?
Good, man. How you feeling?
Great. And Stanton Moore. Hello, Stanton.
Oh,
What's up, Jeff?
Tipitina.
I saw your tip shirt and I was like, oh, I should go represent too. So I had one in the closet and I'm like, I'll put it on.
I love that with the fleur de lis. That's a newer merch item, right?
It is. And, listening to you talk, at the time when you bought that shirt, the merch was depleted. So one of the first things we wanted to do was offer better items for merch. And this is one that we released during Saints season. And it was a big hit, even in my household. So I've got more than one. Luckily I had one clean.
Well, that every New Orleans music fan in their collection has at least one Tipitina shirt, some multiple over the years. So how's merch going? Are you guys selling a lot?
Yeah, actually, we just did this awesome campaign. It was like a community shirt, and it was like priced a little higher, and it was kind of set up to be some fundraiser for the club, and the response was amazing. It was just it just was so heartwarming to see the people come out and represent and buy up the shirts. It's gonna be. It was big. I didn't think that people were going to come out that big and represent for us, but they did, which was awesome.
People are really stepping up right now and contributing a lot to a lot of different causes. So it's really heartening to see. This is typically, Stanton, you usually play 25 gigs over Jazz Fest?
Last year I pared it down to, I think, 19. One year I played 31. And so, so I noticed, like, as soon as Jazz Fest started and we started listening 24 hours a day to OZ and listening to Jazz Fest in place, I was like, ooh, I've got an idea. I'm going to try to play live to the Galactic set when they play it on OZ, and I'm going to go live on Facebook. And I don't know what to do with myself, and I'm not running like crazy. So I decided to just sit and relax and listen to the Galactic set, which is what I did. But at this time of year, if I'm not running around like crazy, then I just literally don't know what to do with myself. So
yeah, your body's like, what is going on?
What's happening?
Yeah, you're getting so much sleep. What the hell?
I know, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's got to be a shock to your system. Rob, you have a couple different units you're playing with over Jazz Fest too. I mean, you guys have Dragon Smoke together, and Frequinox also.
Yeah, we have Frequinox and Dragon Smoke, and sometimes M&M's together, which is Papa Molly and Medeski and us. And then I have another group called Good Enough for Good Times, and a couple pickup gigs here and there. I mean, I'm not as busy as Stanton, but I definitely have a few extra gigs.
Well, I think there's few people that have the energy of Stanton Moore. We got to face that. I mean, watching you play drums, I mean, coming out of your seat has just been like something to see. Who was your major influence growing up? Stanton
for me, it was a couple. I mean, in town. Well, let me just start off by saying what I consider my holy trinity of drummers is Ziggy Modaliste, John Bonham, and Elvin Jones. Right? I keep coming back to those three. Like, I can get anything done. Brushes playing a ballad, Elvin Jones. Rocking out, John Bonham. Playing super funky, Ziggy Modaliste. But growing up, the guys that I went out and saw every night that I could and that I followed around like a puppy dog were Johnny Vidakovich and Russell Batiste. And Russell Batiste played funk with the energy of a punk rock drummer. And I had all that energy. I was skateboarding at that time and, playing in some punk bands and heavier bands. And when I saw Russell Batiste play with all that energy, I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do with my life is I want to play funk, but I want to play it with that kind of energy. So, and then I started trying to blur the lines between Zig and Johnny Vidakovich and with the energy of Russell Batiste. And then gradually throwing in some of the Elvin influence and the Bonham influence and Idris Muhammad and James Black. But, my main six, once you expand out of the holy trinity of Bonham, Elvin, and Zig, the other three expanded from that would be Johnny V, Russell Batiste, and James Black.
And Rob, how about your influences?
I'm gonna have to give a lot of credit to George Porter Jr. Probably like Bootsy Collins, James Brown era, and believe it or not, like sousaphone players like Kirk Joseph, Phil Frazier from Rebirth.
Yeah, well, when you grew up though, well, you were from the Northeast, right?
Yeah, so these are all later influences. You're
Right. So how about when you were a kid and you were like listening to rock and roll around the house? Were you playing at that age?
Wait, ask that again?
Were you playing at that age, like when you were a kid?
I started in 7th grade, so I mean, a lot of my influences then were like a lot of punk rock stuff, DC, Bad Brains, Minor Threat, stuff like that, Government Issue, and I really didn't get into funk until I was about 16 or so. So, and at that point, the only funk that I was really familiar with was James Brown and P-Funk, stuff like that.
And when you got to New Orleans, what did you make of all those old guys? Did you instantly have respect for them, or you were like, "What is this?"
Oh no, I mean, amazing respect. Like I was so blown away right off the bat. Like going to Benny's, or I mean, it was crazy. You could go see. I remember seeing Leo Nocentelli at like house parties in my freshman year. Did you ever go to any of those, Stanton, on Tulane or Loyola?
I don't know if I went to those same house parties that you saw Leo.
Yeah.
But when you speak of Benny's, I mean, this is something that Robert and I talk about all the time. We were going to Benny's when we were 17, for me, like starting at 16, 17 years old. And we were going and seeing like JD and the Jammers and, Houseman's band with Michael Ward. And, every single night of the week we could go out.
Okay.
And for me, to answer your question, Jeff, it was mind blowing because I was like, oh my God, I can see these guys.
It was.
And if you hang around long enough and if you buy them enough drinks, then maybe they'll let you sit in. So it was an unbelievable experience for a 16, 17-year-old kid going to high school in New Orleans at that time,
So, you were raised in New Orleans your whole life?
Yeah.
So are you the only local in the band, or who else is?
Yeah, I mean, just to be completely technical, I grew up in Metairie and then went to Brother Martin High School in Orleans Parish in Gentilly. And by the time I was at Brother Martin, by sophomore year, I was going to punk rock shows. By junior year, I was going to Benny's, And
that's about right when I made the transition from like punk to funk around sophomore, junior year.
Yeah, about 17 years old.
To agree with Stan, it was mind blowing. I mean, it still is in New Orleans. You can still go out any old night and have go see amazing music. But for some reason, when we were 17, it just seemed like Disneyland of music out there. It was so fun.
So that's when you first started college, right, Rob? 17.
Yeah, 1990. Yeah.
1990. Well, that's like 30 years ago, huh?
Yeah.
Goes fast.
But just to put this in perspective for people who love Jazz Fest but maybe weren't around for that era. If you imagine like Le Bon Ton, everybody knows where Le Bon Ton is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So literally around the corner from Le Bon Ton was Benny's, and it's a house now. It's somebody's house, which at the time we were like, this is the grossest place ever. I could never imagine even being here in the daylight, much less renovating it into a house. But we used to walk from Le Bon Ton to Benny's and then like ride bikes to Tips and then get to the Maple Leaf. And, Muddy Waters was active at the time. And, that's just uptown. And on a given night, man, I used to go from uptown to downtown to hear somebody. And then, might go see Johnny Vodakovich at Snug Harbor downtown, and then go back uptown to catch the end of Tips. And then maybe go back downtown for a late night thing. Like, because even back then, there was later music. Music went later than just 1:30 a.m., which
Benny's did for sure.
Benny's did for sure. Yeah. Benny's would go to 3 or 4 in the morning on a Tuesday, on a regular Tuesday. Now in New Orleans, most things end at 1:30 during the year, but of course, then you get things that start up at 2 o'clock that go to 6. And for a couple of years, we had breakfast sets that started at 8 or 9 or 10 a.m.
So stupid. That was so
really?
For like 2 years, but I think it was right before like
6 to 9 a.m. kind of, or right. It was like, and they would literally like, it was mainly at when the Howlin' Wolf was where the Republic is now. They kind of did it, right? And they literally had breakfast and everything.
The show started in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Jeff.
I remember being there, just like, what am I doing? Like, I gotta go home.
When we got off of our gigs that went from 2 a.m. to 6, I remember being with you, Robert, being like, what do we do now? And we go hear music, right?
I think I remember going to a Zig show. It was probably you and me.
Probably.
You did one at 6 that started at 6 a.m. I was like,
Zig was doing 6 a.m. sets?
Like starting at 6, yeah.
Wow. I don't know.
Years ago.
That's 25 years ago.
Yeah, at the beginning. And the late night, like you guys, when was it that you got your acceptance as a band from all the locals and stuff like that? When did they finally say, okay, you're one of us? Was there a line of demarcation, like where you accepted? Because I was talking to Eddie from New Master Sounds, and like his band's never played Jazz Fest, although they've been playing Jazz Fest for a decade at night, but they've never been to the fairgrounds. When did you guys first play the fairgrounds?
96.
96.
Yeah.
Which is
all happened at the same. Like we put out our first record, Cooling Off, in 96. We hooked up with Houseman. We started touring. We got in Jazz Fest. It all kind of happened at the same time, where people started taking us. Maybe we took ourselves more seriously, and then it translated into people taking ourselves more seriously.
Yeah, it was definitely, you guys were, when I went, and it was probably 2000s. I remember seeing you guys at the late nights, and then eventually Bonnaroo in 2002, and it was Galactic, and you guys would just play for hours and hours. Where's the energy come from? Like, how do you play from 2 to 6 and then go play 6 to 10?
Well, I think that to answer your question, Jeff, we were very lucky in that we got a Jazz Fest gig in 1996, and that's the same year that we started touring. So once we started touring, they're like, oh, well, okay, we'll give them another Jazz Fest gig in 97. And then it kept building, and people would see us during Jazz Fest. They see us play at night, or they see us on the fairgrounds. Then they go tell their friends in their respective cities, and then more people would come out. So it grew from there. Yeah. And once it was growing like that, even back in the early days, all those guys were really kind and awesome to us. George Porter Jr. and Leo Nocentelli, Zigaboo Modaliste, Art Neville, they were always cool to us, man. Yeah. And we've always been very transparent that they're our biggest influence. We love them more than anything in the world, and we would not be a band if it wasn't for them, And they've always been super cool to us. And so once we started touring and things, things just started to happen because, we took the advice of Joe Cabral. I want to give him credit. Plays bass with the New Orleans Klezmer All-Stars, plays sax in the Iguanas. He told us, look, if y'all are going to hit the road, whatever you do, be a band. Be the same band when you go back to a city that you were when you were there before. Because people are going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their friends about the experience they had and the chemistry of the band. If you're a rotating cast of characters, you're not going to gain any traction or momentum. So we took that advice.
Yeah, and that was really popular. I mean, that was very common in New Orleans at that time. Like bands were just kind of piecing, and they still are, just kind of piecing people together every night. And we were a rarity where it was like always the same guys. You never had a fill in, you never had a sub. We wouldn't do a gig if we had to get a sub.
Right.
Well, you guys have gone through the vocalists over the years.
Yeah, all right. early part of the band.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, but we realized that the 5 core members, that we were a partnership, we were a band, and whatever we do, that should be our core. And we realized that, we can have special guests. I mean, we're kind of inverted in a way that we're a band of instrumentalists who have special guest vocalists. But it's just the way that it's worked out for us.
Well, not only that, what I found amazing was some of my favorite talent that I've ever seen. The first time I ever saw them was when they would go on a short tour with you guys and you'd bring them around the United States. Like David Shaw, the first time I saw him was when he was working with you guys and you brought him out on tour. And Erica Falls and even Ivan Neville in the early days. I mean, you guys have broken so much great, amazing New Orleans talent. And it's inspiring.
Well, I mean, Corey Glover, we discovered him.
I didn't mention him on purpose.
We were lucky, man. We were amazed that he would come tour with us. And Cyril Neville, my God, we've been blessed to have Cyril. And now Jelly. We're, it's an embarrassment of riches when it comes to vocalists for us. We've been very, very lucky. Maggie Kerner too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been very, very lucky to have been able to work with such great vocalists, for a long time. And Houseman. I mean, it all started with him. And we all get emotional now when we talk about it because we are all, me and Robert and Jeff, we're all the same age. And then Ben and Rich are just like a year and a half older than us, but we're all born in 1972. Me, Robert, and Jeff are all 72 models. And we realize that we are now at the same age that Houseman was when he came on the road with us for the first time. So we're like, oh my God, what a giant leap of faith he took in us to get in a van, a 1978 Ford Econoline van that we got from my parents. He had enough faith in us to jump in that van. And we're like, could you imagine doing that now? It's at our age. It's like, my God. It's so we're eternally grateful to Houseman for having.
How did you talk him into joining you guys? Because he was an established New Orleans musician, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, come and make $10 a night with us on the road. I don't know. I mean,
but if you do it for like 3 years, we're going to be playing Red Rocks. Clear as day, and he believed us.
He saw the vision more than we did, really, to tell you the truth. He was always, thinking that we had more, push ourselves more, and that we have a career in this and stuff like that. I mean, I think that he was probably one of our biggest inspirations business-wise.
Well, he knew how to make money. I mean, he'd been doing it for years, right? I mean, it's a business, and that's the hard part to realize about it.
Yeah.
But he understood chemistry, and he understood that we all appreciated each other, and he understood that we were a band, and that we all cared about each other, and we were all willing to do this together. And we wasn't one guy trying to get ahead of the other guy. We were all in it. I mean, I remember times we were staying in band condos in Colorado, and we'd be sitting at the table after the gig, and Robert be like, "Here's your $5. Here's your $5." Like literally. And then we got to keep some for gas,
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm going to sleep on this part of the floor. But we all believed in it, and so did Houseman.
Yeah.
Truly inspiring, and just sharing the love. I mean, you guys always shared the love and opened people up. How was working with Macy? Because is that your biggest hit, the Macy Gray song?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has the most Spotify plays, and truthfully, it was actually David Shaw wrote most of that song. Just to give him credit in case he's listening or whatever, but he definitely is just a great songwriter, and he contributed. Originally, it was going to be him singing that song, and then Macy Gray came aboard, and we were like, oh, we were scrambling for a song to do with her, and we were like, well, why don't you sing on this one? So it could have been the biggest song ever with David Shaw, but touring with Macy Gray was every time. She was truly unpredictable. I mean, you did not know from 5 minutes before what her mood was going to be like. 5 minutes, but she always brought it on stage. Like, she's just completely entertaining.
Yeah, but we love her. I mean, when Robert says, "Yeah, you never knew what was gonna go, how things were gonna go," but she was always super cool.
Oh yeah,
super cool, super sweet. But sometimes she would be introverted, and sometimes she'd just be like, "All right, you guys, let's have some fun." Like it's like, I'm ready. And then sometimes she would be introverted and just quiet and to herself. But
yeah.
Did we lose our host?
Oh, we might have lost our host. Well, I guess we'll run the show, Stan.
We'll run the show. What kind of internet do y'all have over there in LA?
I know. I thought we'd be the ones with the scrambling.
New Orleans, right? Maybe we lost it. I don't know.
Hold on. Here I am.
Oh, here he is.
Here I am. Sorry, my computer blew up.
Hey,
my other computer blew up. I think it was Macy.
Oh, she zapped us. She's like, you.
I was like, damn, what's happened? Everything went black. Yeah, you got it's like performing, and all of a sudden the power goes out. Ever happen to you guys?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We've been playing, we've played gigs where the power went out and they're like, "Oh, Stanton, keep playing." Well, it's been 10 minutes. Keep playing. After 20 minutes, here comes a brass band that comes inside and and we're playing and I'm playing with a brass band and the guys are at the bar. It's like we had that happen at Cafe Brazil one New Year's Eve, I think. Something.
Yeah. When was that? Like 90? That was way back. It was probably like 95 or something, New Year's Eve.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. I mean, Jeff, as you're learning hosting your show, technology, I mean, electricity technology, it's like you just got to roll with it, right? It's like, oh well.
Right. And well, especially live, and some people have tried to talk me out of the live format, but I just love the back and forth and watching a conversation evolve. And I guess you could do it recorded too and just edit it down, but that's
you learn a lot though. I mean, like not just technology wise, but aren't you learning a lot about just about process and about people's interaction and about who's going to step up, who's going to back off, this time has been a huge learning process for me in a good way.
Well, you're focused, right? Because usually you're so scattered, traveling all over the place, and you have so many different projects going on. Hasn't everybody ever told you in your life, stop, stay home, sit down for 2 months?
Well, I know, but you see, for me, it's been more hectic, actually, if you can imagine that, and I love it. It's amazing. Because what's going on now is I've got, for example, right before this, I'm blessed to be with great companies, right? My stick company, my cymbal company, Zildjian owns Vic Firth, right? So they're hosting a brush roundtable a week from today. So they're like, okay, can you turn us into a video by tomorrow? And can you also get us like an updated picture, like by the end of the day? So like I'm filming myself and like recording myself, but this is the thing, for the last month, I usually am an engineer. Robert will tell you I am not a technological guy. Like technology hates
Hence
me.
the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Our sound check today was hilarious.
But I've accepted that. And so I hire an engineer to help me film my stuff and record my stuff. And so this month has been really hectic for me because I'm getting my, different drum companies and drum websites and stuff. They know that I'll respond and I'll turn stuff in, but I've got to do it on my own. So my wife is like, oh my God, she's been amazing. But she's like, you've turned our front room into a studio. I mean, look, I'll give you a little walk around. Here's my drums, right? Here's my drums, and I've got mics on them, right? And that's what I was trying to get to work. I was going to play you I was going to serenade you, Jeff. But and then I've got over there that little bitty kit in the background. It's got
I see that, yeah.
Got mesh heads, Remo silent stroke heads, and Zildjian low volume cymbals, so that when I wake up at 6:30 in the morning, I can practice that and my wife doesn't hear it in the back of the house. So I'm like busier than ever just in the front room of my house. And I'm like, oh no, Vic Firth needs this video right now. I got to be on with Jeff Kravitz right now. And then while all that was happening, I got a text from Terrence Higgins. Hey, love your spirit. That's really nice that you posted that Willie Green has a GoFundMe, but you just posted a picture of the wrong Willie Green. There's another Willie Green in town. So I have a social media guy, but he lives in Seattle. So he didn't realize that was not Willie Green. Yeah. So I had all that happening while I was trying to get on with you. So, but I love it. It's like, it's how I operate. I mean, I just, I go. But right now I haven't been able to just sit and chill.
And focus.
I'm putting out content, getting on live with people, and it's been awesome. It's been an incredible period of growth and learning.
Are you feeling that same thing, Rob?
I mean, I've definitely had some learning, and I've learned a lot about video editing this time. Dove into that, which I never did before. Been kind of putting together those Galactic videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I definitely had more time to practice, and just this past week, I've felt more like I've been getting back into the studio and producing and writing and stuff like that. I just, for like the first month, I didn't feel creative, or my mind was just distracted. I just didn't have the wherewithal to like go in and just try to make music. But it's been really fun. This last week's been awesome. I'm working on some new music, working on this track for Big Frida with Boyfriend, and so it's been really, once I started doing that again, it was really nice to get like away from the TV and just back to my normal life.
Yeah, because the television is a big vacuum, isn't it?
Dude, CNN can just suck me in, like,
Man, it can.
so bad.
And Robert has been great in helping produce these videos that we've been putting together, where we all play together, and all these people have been reaching out to us like, how do you make it work? Like, what do you do? And Robert was the first person to tell me, hey, guess what? You got to film in the same frames per second, right? So I've shared that information with multiple people. I've done a bunch of other projects, and like where we're playing rudimental drum pieces, and the professor at LSU, we started putting it together. I was like, did you ask everybody to film at the same frames per second? He's like, I didn't think to do that. And he got them, and they were all like, kind of, So Robert's been learning a lot, and he's been teaching me a lot during all this too.
Well, can you, I know there's a couple apps like Acapella, and I tried the Jammer. I don't know if you've seen Jammer, but it's a way to jam on your laptop.
That doesn't. I've researched all that. Are you talking about Jamkazi or?
Well, I know there's actually an app called Jammer, Jammr, that works on your laptop, and you go into like a room and there's other guys playing and there's no lag, and it's all just sound.
Wait, really? There's really no lag.
No lag. Like I was on there playing, had my guitar run through the DI, and there's no lag. Jammr. And then DJ Williams from Carl's band, I saw him do a thing with Robert Randolph, and I said, what are you using? And he was using Acapella, which is an app for the phone.
Right. Acapella is one that people have been using. We've actually been, Robert can tell you more about it, but we've been using a little bit of, well, for me on my end, like we did the Garage à Trois one, I had my guy do it because I am trying to write drum lessons, film drum lessons. So I have a guy help me with editing. And a lot of people are doing those things in Final Cut Pro.
Yeah,
just Robert, we did some of ours in that too, right?
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
But none of it's been live. I mean, what Jeff's talking about is obviously like jamming together live.
Right.
I haven't heard of a lot of success in that world, but yeah,
the Jammer app works. I guess what you could do is do a Zoom with everybody that's in the room, the professional one, and then you could all play together. So it's a way to practice and not be in the same room, I guess.
Yeah. That's really cool. Like every review and stuff. I mean, I got to look that up because I haven't had that much success. Everything always seems like it has at least some sort of 300 millisecond delay or something.
Well, what was interesting was when I was playing it through the Bluetooth, I was getting a lag. But as soon as I played it through the actual computer, there was no lag. As you can see,
just random people. It's like the worst drum circle ever.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was I got into some random room and one guy had like a bass synth and one guy was noodling around, and it was really whack. They weren't giving me anything to bite on, so I was just kind of making some noise with them. But I was more experimenting with it and trying it to make it work because I'm really missing being able to sit in a room and play, with other people. So, I mean, that must drive you guys crazy to have to play that much and all of a sudden not have that mojo that you've been working at all these years.
Yeah. Oh, it's so weird. Like, just even making those couple videos, playing along with like Stanton's track, or even being in the studio and playing along with drums, it's like, it's so nice. It's just definitely something that I was so used to doing and I took for granted.
Yeah. We played, me, David Torkanowski, and James Singleton played for a free food drive-through pickup, like in a warehouse, where like we entered through a giant warehouse door. We were all distanced the whole time, set up 8 feet apart from each other, but we got to play music, like three people within space. But it was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen Big Sam. He plays in this driveway with his guys, and they're all set 10 feet apart.
Yeah.
Playing. There's a neighbor here watching, the neighbor over there. But people are desperate to play, and people are desperate for the music out there too.
Yeah.
Are you trying to think how to do a Galactic show, or you haven't got to that level yet?
Oh, we've been thinking about it. We want to, once it kind of becomes socially acceptable and that, and responsible, we were going to definitely do something up at Tips with some sort of live stream or small show like that.
As soon as we can put 10 to 15 people in a room together responsibly, we're planning on playing on stage to no audience and streaming. But we are 7 band, and we need at least 3-4 crew and at least 2 people in the venue. So we need close to 13 people, really.
Right.
To, 12, 13 people to make a live stream really work. You've got the guy who's got to switch the stream. You got your front of house, your light guy, a guy for monitors, and to kind of help us on stage, and then 7 band. And then, we would at least want to have our general manager there. So as soon as we can get, 12 people in a room responsibly, we're going to start streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your club and what it's like to be a club owner in this climate.
Yeah. It is so scary and uncertain. It's just, and technically just back to what Stanton was saying, like technically we're not even a business that's really even allowed to be operating in any sort of way. We fall under obviously entertainment venue, and we're going to be probably one of the last ones to be allowed open. I think those businesses, entertainment businesses. So it's scary. We're definitely not going to be part of phase 1, not part of phase 2 probably. And then even when they do, we're going to be probably super limited in the capacity that we can have in a club. And we know the numbers, and it takes, we have to have 200 or 300 people in the club for it to make sense to, even really make money. So if they don't allow us to have even that amount of people, it just becomes like not even worth it. So it could be months down the road.
It could. And some of the ideas, Jeff, are to have tables and chairs to keep people distance, to maybe also do some VIP tickets, or like pay what you want tickets. The ticket is $30, but help us,
Right.
VIP, whatever you want to pay. There's all kinds of ideas floating around. And, how does it feel? Imagine cashing out your retirement account to put it into the club, your favorite club in the universe, and then having the universe say, guess what? All clubs are closed for the indefinite future.
Unbelievable. Well,
nobody can do anything about it.
Well, the plus side is that the club's not ruined, the town's not ruined, everything is standing. And if anything, I'm hoping, do you see this in New Orleans where they're using the time to fix some of the infrastructure?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Are they paving the streets? No.
They're paving the sidewalk outside of Parasols. But
really?
that's Mark Bruiser is paving there's a broken part of sidewalk outside of Parasols that he's fixing right now.
Yeah.
He's out there barking orders, literally. But no, they're not fixing the streets. They're not. The city is not fixing infrastructure, but some venues are, and some restaurants like Commander's Palace. I'm good friends with the executive chef Tori McPhail. They just redid a bunch of rooms, the pot room and a bunch of the kitchen, and they've been he's been tiling. He's like, I was on my hands and knees for 6 hours today tiling. He's like tiling himself.
Wow.
Set a good example. Just like all hands on deck. We've got to do what we got to do, and we all got to get through this together. So
yeah.
Is the city doing anything? Go ahead, Rob.
This would be, I agree. This would be an amazing time for us to be able to do these projects at Tips that would cause us to keep the club. The whole outside of the club needs to be redone and painted, and it would require closing the club. But it's just not the time for us to bite off any expenses that we don't need. I wish we could.
If any benefactors out there are watching and want to contact us, let us know.
Yeah, Tipitina's need some help. Are you guys now? A lot of guys are using this time to raise money for various funds. Do you guys have any charities that you've been helping out, or your own charity?
Yeah, we have our Tippett Foundation, our fund, and through that we've been, gaining funds from people, and then we gave a $10,000 donation to the New Orleans Music Clinic through Tippett.
Musicians Clinic, yeah.
Oh, what did I say? Musician.
Yeah.
New Orleans Music Clinic, yeah. Musicians.
Musician
Yeah,
Clinic.
Musicians Clinic.
So, and we're still raising. We set up a fund for the staff at Tipitina's, like our bar staff and door staff, production staff, and that again was an amazing outpouring of support. It's just great to see stuff like that.
Yeah, people are in a giving mood.
Thankfully, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely inspiring on every level, to see how people are bonding together and everything, but also frustrating for all of us music fans. We find this a very frustrating time of year. It must be so hard to not be out on those fairgrounds right now.
Today was beautiful too. Oh my God, the weather's been amazing, huh, Stanton?
Oh, it's been incredible. And this would have been our 25th time walking on stage at Jazz Fest, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, right. Damn.
25th year in a row.
That's totally scary.
Got interrupted, so we'll have to go for another 25.
Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
Well, when was your when did you find that the guys were calling, like Stan, then the guys, all those old New Orleans musicians started dialing you up and saying, "Hey, we mind coming in and laying some tracks for me"? Was there a certain moment when that changed? When all of a sudden you found yourself in high demand in the studio for various people?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of gradual. I mean, I do remember in 1993, before Galactic went on the road, Russell Batiste had to go out of town, and so I wound up filling in for Russell on what I thought was going to be a bunch of gigs, but Russell came back, and I wound up doing 3 gigs, and we had the discussion of like, all right, well, I guess y'all are gonna have to find another drummer, and I'm gonna quit school, and I'm gonna not graduate Loyola. I mean, I'm gonna play with George Porter Jr. I mean, at the time, that was like, my biggest dream I could possibly imagine. And then Russell came back and I stayed with Galactic. And then, so that was a moment where I was like, oh my God, my life is going to be changed from this moment moving forward. I just got the call from George Porter Jr. to play with him. Mm-hmm. But, that was a moment a long time ago. Other than that, it's been very gradual, it's been very gradual, I think, for me personally. But mm-hmm. and now it's like we're all just sitting at home. So
did you think, like, after Katrina that the town was going to bounce back at the speed that it did? Or, I mean, not that it was fast, but it was still 3 or 4 years we were back at it, I felt, as far as
back at it. I mean, pretty much that next Jazz Fest, I felt like the city was pretty much together again. I mean, not at full strength, but it was, at least with Katrina, you had a definitive time and an end. This is just so much more uncertainty, I feel like, as to what's going to be like.
Yeah, the scary thing with what's going on right now is the uncertainty and the fear of the unknown, and the fear that, we could get a second wave even worse than the first. And just how long until the funds run out, I mean, right now we've seen a lot of people being very generous, and it's been very helpful, and that's been great. And we're able to kind of barely skirt by, by having certain things diverted and certain things relieved, and then certain people stepping up and helping us. But how long is that going to last? And if the virus lasts longer than people's generosity, then we're going to be in real trouble.
Well, I'm hoping with some of the stuff I've been reading lately, especially that, there's some kind of change going on, but we don't know. And that's, like you said, it's the unknown, and we're all kind of in this together, hanging out and waiting, which is the hardest part of all. Favorite Jazz Fest foods that you're missing right now? I mean, you guys live in New Orleans all the time, so you eat the stuff, it's not really anything special. When we come in, it's like, oh, you got to eat this, got to eat that.
No,
but
it's special. It's special because we don't. It's not like you have this amazing food court all the time in front of you. I mean, it's like, and like some of that stuff isn't available year round, really. I mean, you can get the cochon de lait year round, but you got to go all the way out to the east, and it's not something you do that often.
And then you do allow yourself certain allowances during Jazz Fest, like, well, I'll eat fried chicken for lunch, and then I'll eat this, for dinner, and where you normally wouldn't do that. But one of my favorite things is to walk in Jazz Fest, go straight to the duck and andouille gumbo.
So good.
My wife and I will do this. It's like one of us will go get the gumbo, and the other one goes five booths over and gets the cracklins. And then we meet together, and you put the cracklins in the gumbo. And it's amazing. And the gumbo is so hot that it melts the fat of the cracklins. Now, if I ate like that all the time, not only would I be like, I'd be huge and die of cholesterol poisoning. So, I can't eat like that year round. I allow myself to do that during Jazz Fest, but I can't do it.
It's not exactly your Whole Foods health market out there at the fairgrounds.
No, but that's that's one of our favorites. There's so many good ones.
There's so many.
Cochon de lait, crawfish Monica, soft shell crab po' boy. I love. I mean,
love that.
I love the trio, the combo plate.
Sack.
Yeah, with the oyster sack, it's unbelievable. That's one of my favorites. Oh man, the trout paquette and the crawfish strudel. Now you get me on a roll.
Alligator pie. I love the alligator pie. The crawfish bread.
The mango freeze. I mean, come
strawberry lemonade. I mean, listen, this is the time of year, and the thing is, you work it off by the end of the day. You do so much walk-in, and you guys are playing and running around.
Yeah.
It's not an ideal playing either. It's hot as hell sometimes. It's so humid, and you got to be dripping by the end of those sets.
Dude, and to try to eat some hot gumbo some of those days, but it can be tough. I agree. Not ideal.
Well, guys, you're an inspiration to everybody. Your music is just brought so much joy to so many people's lives, and especially this time of year. And we're all hurting inside. And I'm really glad you came on today to talk to some of our people and say hi. And you're my people. I love you guys.
Yeah, Jeff. Thanks,
love you too, Jeff. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Get back to your busy lives. See you guys.
Good to see you, bro.
See you. All right. Rob and Stan from Galactic. Two finer gentlemen you don't see on the scene. It's great for them to come in today and say hi to us. It's Jazz Fest, so we're all kind of feeling it. We're all feeling the stress of not being together, and also for your show blowing up in the middle of an interview, which the rush when that happens, by the way, when everything goes black and you're like, oh shit, am I totally off? Fortunately, I have two computers in my office, so I went on the other one, and this has happened to me before. Everything's happened to me before. 44 shows going live. I've been through the ringer and trying to learn the technology and figure it out. But it all seems to come together and work, and the magic happens when you get great people on the screen and you're able to talk to them like your family. And that's pretty much what I really enjoy the most about talking to these guys that I've known for so long, is that it's talking to old friends and catching up. And, I'm happy to see these guys. They're usually in my life every 6 months coming through LA, or seeing them at one festival or another. They've played all over the place. I have pictures of them from everywhere. We didn't even get into the photos today from all the times I've shot Galactic, and they're just an incredible act. So check out Galactic if you haven't seen them or you don't know who they are. You can go on your YouTube or go back and they're doing a couple Jazz Fest sets. I'm not sure the schedule's out today if you're doing the WWOZ thing. But, we're in crazy times, folks. It's getting nuts out there. Don't watch the news. Don't let it get in your head. Don't CNN, all that stuff. I don't care. Fox, it's all bad. It's all just trying to take your attention away. And you just concentrate on the music and the love and, your family, and making healthy food and being in together, washing those dishes. My favorite thing to do, dishwashing. I am so good at dishwashing. The pot scrubbing. Get in there. And you know what? I used to fight it. and be like, oh no, go hide in the other room. And now I just get up to the table. I just go right to the pots. I'm like, just going to get this out of the way. And then I'm just going to go enjoy my night and not have anybody saying, you didn't clean the pots. So we're keeping the pots clean, folks, and the pot clean. But thank you all for tuning in today. Tomorrow we have the legendary James Andrews, the older brother of Trombone Shorty, coming on, and he is going to talk Treme because that's where he grew up and he knows it better than anybody. And he's been in a ton of brass bands and played all over, and he's just a true original legend. And we are only going, I believe, 5 days this week. And next week, we start our deal with Osiris Pod. We're just in the final throes of doing that. My guest next week on Monday, the one and only Thomas Marshall, lyricist for the band Fish and the host of Under the Scales podcast. On Tuesday, ready for this one? I've been keeping this one under my hat, folks. We have Portugal the Man coming on. Two of the guys, Zach and Josh, be coming on to talk to us. I believe I have that right. I'll have to check my notes. I know Zach for sure. Zach Carruthers. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're going to get out of New Orleans. Tomorrow will be our last show in New Orleans. This weekend, we're going to take a little break. And, I've had some calls into some of my friends to flesh out the rest of the week next week, my first week on a Osiris Pod. So I hope you all tune in as we ramp this show up and take it to the next level and start really going through my Rolodex and really getting out and getting the word out to a lot of listeners. 5 days a week, an hour a day. I believe 4:20 to 5:20. We're going to change the time. I'm going to come on live at 4:20, I believe. Make it easier because it's so confusing. Live at 4:20, at 4:10. People don't understand that stuff. It's so above and heady. I was giving people 10 minutes to get ready to get stoned with me is what it was, because that was kind of the idea of the show. We were going to hang out and smoke. But like I told the guys at Galactic, they were like, is this like a show, a drinking show or whatever? And I was like, I used to smoke, but then I would forget what I was talking about. And it would make it a very awkward show for me because I get lost in conversation. Be like, what was my next question? Because I don't really have any notes. I kind of wing this. I mean, I, of course, read a couple things about Galactic. I know about them for years. But just to refresh, I go on Wikipedia and read a couple things and to prep and get everything together and get my thoughts together to concentrate and to see what questions I want to ask and stuff like that. But I don't really write it down unless it's so much stuff that I know I'm going to forget it. Because I like to kind of feel how the conversation is going to go and wing it. Sometimes I'm lost, but most of the times it works out, And the same thing with this part and the intro. I come out and I'm just like a blank slate. It's like, okay, I got 5 minutes to kill. What am I going to talk about? But you know what? There's always something. All that MCT oil, the COQ10, the PQQ, all these things I put in my coffee every morning. They keep me involved. They keep me alert and they keep me engaged. And it's really changed my life in a lot of ways. And it's where I get all this energy from, I guess. I want to thank you all. This has been an incredible, this is show, I think, 45, show 45. We'll get to 46 before the end of the weekend. And it's been a total learning experience. Yes, Lisa, I hit the MCT oil every day. There are 20 different things. Lisa Tarpley asked me, I'm going to hit the MCT. Yeah. The MCT, the ecstasy, the LSD, the ABCs of chemicals, I hit them all. I don't leave anything out. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, LSD, and ecstasy. I know my psychedelic alphabet. 2CB and 2CT, 2CI and 2CB. I love Alexander Shulgin. Anyway, kids, thank you. Thanks to all my guests. I want to shout out to the people that have been taking care of all the people. Solo Pipe Venice, sending solo pipes to some of my guests. Also Organics. That code is good. Today only, you get 20% off. Their CBD is the real deal. I got to talk to Chewy about it because, man, I never felt the CBDs before. I am feeling the Also Organics. We already crushed those, the gummies. Asher's Chocolates, beautiful basket up to Tommy Chang this week, And, oh, wait, I had a couple things. I had another thing here to tell you about in the comments. My friend Michael Weintraub, I'm going to find this link. He is raising money, selling prints, and giving part of the proceeds. Here it is. He is right here, Michael. It's so hard going through these things. There it is. Michael Weintraub, BD Pal for the NOLA Clinic, or michaelweintraub.com. Buy print, help some people out. We're talking about doing a little collaboration later in the year. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your love. Thanks for your support. I'm Jeff Kravitz. I will be here tomorrow at 4:10 with our boy James Andrews, and we're going to talk some trumpet, the Satchmo, the modern day Satchmo. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I love you. Peace, love, happiness to all of you. Here's the hug. Oh, wait, hold on. The Ashes chocolate. There you go. There's the hug. Pow! Have a good Thursday night. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Take care.